Free speech. We're told it's a right, an immutable, inalienable right. But let's be honest, does it feel that way in 2025? Because increasingly, saying what you believe, truly believe, can have consequences. Consequences that range from the mildly annoying to the utterly career-ending. So the question we're asking tonight is this. In the digital age, can you truly say what you believe without consequence? Or has free speech become a luxury, a privilege only some can afford? Now, I know what you're thinking. Here we go, another rant about the good old days. But bear with me, because understanding where we came from might just help us figure out where the hell we're going. See, the First Amendment, that granddaddy of free speech, was kind of a big deal. It was a radical promise, etched in ink and fueled by the revolutionary spirit of sticking it to the man. It meant the right to speak truth to power, to protest, to offend, to basically tell those in charge to shove it.
This right wasn't just some abstract ideal, it was the lifeblood of change. From the marches for civil rights to the protests against the Vietnam War, free speech, however messy and inconvenient, was the engine of progress. It allowed dissenting voices to be heard, forcing those in power to listen, to engage, and sometimes, just sometimes, to actually change their damn minds.
Take the Pentagon Papers case in 1971. The Nixon administration tried to block the publication of classified documents that exposed the truth about the Vietnam War. The Supreme Court, in all its wisdom, said, "Nope, the public has a right to know," but somewhere along the way, the landscape shifted. These days it's not just government slapping gag orders on dissenting voices. Oh no, we've gone digital, baby. Now we have algorithms, those invisible lines of code that decide what we see, what we hear, and what we're allowed to say. They're like the bouncers of the internet, deciding who gets in and who's left out in the cold digital rain.
Take YouTube, for example. That bastion of cat videos and questionable DIY advice has become notorious for its rather enthusiastic approach to demonetization. Creators, especially those with even slightly edgy content, find their videos stripped of ads, their income slashed, their ability to speak freely choked by the almighty algorithm. And don't even get me started on the ever-shifting sands of YouTube's community guidelines.
Then there's Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon Musk is calling it this week. That platform, once a haven for free-flowing, albeit often unhinged conversation, has become a minefield of suspensions and shadow bans. One minute you're tweeting about your undying love for sourdough bread, the next you're locked out of your account for violating community standards.
And let's not forget Facebook, the social media behemoth that seems to have mastered the art of saying absolutely nothing while simultaneously angering literally everyone.
The problem is, these platforms have become our new public squares. But when the very platforms we rely on to exercise our right to free speech are controlled by algorithms more opaque than a bottle of squid ink, it's time to ask, are we really free to speak at all? Now, before you unleash the hounds of the internet on me, let me be clear, holding people accountable for what they say is important. If you're out there spewing hate speech, inciting violence, or just being an all-around garbage human, then yes, there should be consequences. But somewhere along the way, the line between accountability and a digital witch hunt got blurry, like really blurry.
We live in the age of cancel culture, where one wrong tweet, one ill-conceived joke, one opinion that dares to deviate from the accepted narrative can lead to a digital pile-on of epic proportions. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity, a politician, or just someone with a Twitter account and a penchant for puns, the mob can turn on you faster than you can say algorithmic bias.
Just look at J.K. Rowling, the woman who gave us the magical world of Harry Potter and then decided to share some rather controversial views on gender identity. The backlash was swift, brutal, and relentless.
Then there's Joe Rogan, the podcasting giant who dared to have conversations with people outside the mainstream, sparking accusations of spreading misinformation and fueling dangerous conspiracy theories.
What I find troubling is the chilling effect this culture of instant condemnation has on free speech. When the fear of being canceled becomes so pervasive that it prevents us from expressing dissenting opinions, from engaging in open and honest debate, then we've got a problem. Chapter 4. Big Brother's Digital Makeover. Governments and the Surveillance State. Now you might think that governments, with their love of red tape and penchant for bureaucracy, would be a bit slow to catch up with the whole digital censorship game. But you'd be wrong.
Because when it comes to controlling the narrative, governments are like that one friend who always has to one-up you, no matter how impressive your story is.
Take China, for example. They've taken censorship to a whole new level with their Great Firewall, a digital iron curtain that blocks access to websites and information deemed unsuitable by the powers that be.
Want to read about the Tiananmen Square protests? Tough luck. Interested in learning about the Dalai Lama? Not on their watch.
In China, the internet is less a free and open web and more a tightly controlled intranet, where dissent is quickly scrubbed away like a bad dream the party wants you to forget.
But don't think for a second that this kind of digital overreach is limited to authoritarian regimes.
Remember the NSA scandal a few years back? Turns out the government has been collecting our data, tracking our online activity, and basically knowing more about our browsing habits than our own mothers.
And let's not forget the whole Pegasus spyware fiasco, where governments around the world were caught using military-grade spyware to target journalists, activists, and anyone else deemed a threat to the powers that be.
Even in democracies, governments are finding increasingly creative ways to stifle dissent. Chapter 5. The Price of Speaking Your Truth, When Free Speech Meets Capitalism. Here's a fun fact. You can technically say whatever you want online. Go ahead, shout it from the digital rooftops. Express your undying love for pineapple on pizza, declare your allegiance to the Oxford comma, write a strongly worded haiku about the evils of Crocs. The internet is your oyster, my friend. But here's the catch. Will anyone actually hear you? Because in the digital age, reach is a commodity, and it's a commodity that's increasingly controlled by a handful of powerful corporations. Organic reach, that beautiful thing that used to allow us to connect with our audience without having to empty our wallets, is declining faster than the attention span of a goldfish on a sugar rush. These days, if you want your voice to be heard above the digital din, you better be prepared to pay up. Boosting posts, promoting tweets, running ads, it's all become par for the course in the digital arms race for attention. And even if you do manage to break through the noise, there's always the looming threat of shadow banning, that insidious practice where platforms quietly limit your reach without ever officially acknowledging it. Chapter 6. Reimagining Free Speech for the Digital Age, a Call to Action. So where does that leave us? Are we doomed to whisper our truths into the digital void, our voices drowned out by a chorus of algorithms, corporate interests, and the ever-present fear of being cancelled?
Well, as bleak as things may seem, I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel just yet. Because the fight for free speech isn't over, it's just changed.
It's moved online, it's become more complex, and it's going to require all of us to adapt, to evolve, and to fight for our right to be heard in this brave new digital world.
First and foremost, we need to start treating the internet for what it is, a public utility. Just like we regulate electricity, water, and transportation, we need to establish clear rules and regulations for the digital sphere.
We need to hold platforms accountable for the content they host, the algorithms they use, and the power they wield.
I'm talking about common sense regulations that protect users from harm, promote transparency, and ensure that the internet remains a level playing field for everyone.
Second, we need to break free from the echo chambers.
Real growth, real understanding, real progress happens when we step outside our comfort zones, when we engage with people who challenge our beliefs, and when we're willing to listen, to learn, and maybe even change our minds.
And finally, we need to remember that free speech is not a spectator sport.
Free speech is a right that must be exercised, defended, and constantly fought for.
So, are we really free to speak, or just free to whisper within the walls of those who allow it? The answer, my friends, is up to us. It's time to reclaim the digital town square, to build a world where everyone has the right to be heard, and to make sure that the internet, that grand experiment in human connection, lives up to its promise of being a force for good. What does free speech mean to you today? Let us know in the comments below. And next time, we'll be diving deep into the murky world of digital power, exploring how the internet was hijacked by the powerful and what we can do to take it back. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, #FreeSpeechMatters.